Yo, what's up? It's your boy Six and welcome back to another tutorial. What I've been doing lately is covering all the basics to make sure that you have all the sleights and moves that would probably be utilized in all the effects that I plan on teaching on this channel. Recently, one of my subscribers left a comment requesting that I teach the double lift that I use. His name is Seven. Shout out to Seven. But you know why Six is afraid of Seven? Because 7, 8, 9, 7, 8. I'm gonna stick to magic. It's kind of a hybrid. It's a mix between the Larry Jennings snap double lift plus some other elements that I've learned over the years. There's some things that I've learned from David Williamson in person that he learned from Vernon, little subtle touches on the double lift. I'm also using some elements from when I used to watch David Blaine growing up in Magic, his double lift. I'm also going to be teaching you in this video as well. For the most part, the push-off idea is credit to Draun, and then I know that the spin at the base of the thumb, which is what David Blaine's double lift is most known for, comes from Martin Nash's knockout double lift. So I also think it could be one of those hybrid things, but I think most of the credit goes to Martin Nash and Steve Draun for that double lift. But enough talking, let's get into those two moves. So let's take a look at the Larry Jennings snap double lift, in which my double lift is based off of. You're gonna hold the deck in mechanics grip, which is just like this, right? You have 3 fingers to the side, index finger at the front, your thumb across the left side of the deck, or it can be sitting on top. It's your preference. I like to leave it off to the side because I don't want to put pressure or any oil or grease on top of the card. Your thumb naturally has some oils, and if you leave it there too long, it changes the texture of the cards a little bit. So I like to keep it off to the side. I also recommend, just as you hold the cards, to keep it elevated because that helps keep the deck fresher, as the moisture from your hand as you hold it like this, especially in the summertime, can make the cards a little softer and harder to use. We're in mechanics grip just like this, and what's going to happen is my left thumb is going to bevel the cards. As you can see, I put a little bevel in the cards just like this. This is the straight deck, right? This is how it is straight, and I just rotate my thumb as I place it on the side, or I push it to the side, and now I have a slight bevel here. And that's going to help me for this next part, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down with my thumb as if I was pressing a button. I'm just pressing down, and as I press down, I'm going to pull it down towards the floor, because what's going to happen is that's going to allow the top card to snap out. But I don't want just one card, I want 2 cards because I'm doing a double lift. So I'm going to press down like this and get 2 cards. Once I have the 2 cards, my left thumb is now going to rotate to the right, just like this. And you'll see it causes the top 2 cards here to now bend. My index finger is going to be pressed inside of there, and that's going to take over the break that my thumb was holding. Once my index finger is inside, because I'm just putting the fleshy part there, my thumb then comes over, presses down on that corner, that closest corner to it. And I'm going to move it more towards the center so I can press down like a button again. And when I press that button, so to speak, these 3 fingers are going to relax. And what happens is the card snaps up. And now I can take this card and turn it over for double lift. I can also do it again to bring it face down and place the card inside the middle, and it is still on top. So let's do that again. I'll place this in the second position. We'll use the same card. What's going to happen, again, my left thumb presses across the side, bevels the cards, presses down, and then I'm getting what's called a thumb count. 1, 2 cards. I rotate my thumb inward, causing that bubble. Stick my index finger in, left thumb comes back over, presses down as these 3 fingers relax. These relax as that presses, and that gets the snap, and that's where it's called the snap double lift. You can pretty much hear it. You'll hear that snapping noise as you do it, and that is why it's called the snap double lift. So the classic Larry Jennings snap double lift is just that. Turn the card over, do it again, turn the card over, put it in the middle, and it jumps to the top. You get the idea. But let's talk about some of the details that I've added to it. There are 2 ways in which I use this. Now, the video that Seven commented on was a performance with the television. And what happened is, because it was recorded, the camera was on this side of me, right? So if I got a pinky break on this side, you'll see it, right? You'll see me counting the cards on this side, getting a pinky break. And if you notice in the video, I actually held a pretty big break and I forgot to turn it towards the camera, and I had it upward, and you can actually see the break. You want to avoid that kind of stuff. It's a little sloppy on my end. So how do I avoid this, right? If that's what I use. Well, that's why I like the Larry Jennings snap double lift, because if I was on stage performing, or if there's a camera to the right of me, I get the break from the opposite side and you can't see what's happening, right? So I can thumb count 2 cards, go to turn the card over, and now you don't know that I got a double lift. So you're essentially getting a break from the opposite side. So it's very beneficial in those 2 instances. Aside from that, what I do a little bit differently is I added in, from what I've seen from David Blaine do, is that rotation, which we figured out is from Martin Nash. So as I get my thumb count on this side, I rotate, I pop the card up, and just also a thing on timing. I don't pop the card up before my right hand gets there. I kind of time it together. So I get the break as I'm talking, rotate, get my thumb on top, and now as this right hand comes over, now I do the snap because it's all covered by my hand. I don't want to do it this way, get the snap, and then bring my hand up. You want to time it so that after you get the bubble, and when you're about to press, your right hand is already covering that angle for you. Now in this position, I feel more comfortable than coming from underneath because I feel like you see the break. So the variation that I added to it was that spin, because if I come in here, you'll still see a break. It still looks a little strange. The way that I circumvent that is by doing the break, popping it off as my right hand comes over. Now my right hand is completely over it. You can't even tell, but there's already the huge break there. But what I do here, since the break is at the front, this helps me because all I have to do is tap the corner with my second finger and press it against the base of my thumb. Once it's pressed against the base of my thumb, now I can do the Martin Nash turnover. So what's gonna happen is that my second finger from my right hand is against this corner, my index finger is pressed on top, and now what you can't see underneath is my thumb is also pressing across this side. These 3 fingers right here, as you can see, are lining the double lift. It's keeping it aligned for me. That's very important. And the reason why I like this is because in high pressure situations like television, you don't want to be messing up. So this locks in that double lift for me. So I have it with my second finger at the front here or the corner. My index finger on top is helping, and my thumb right here at the side is also helping. So my thumb is pressing, second finger and index finger, and it's pressed against the base of my thumb. So now it can rotate. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate towards myself. And as I rotate towards myself, look at my left hand, that deck goes vertical. It's horizontal and it goes to vertical as I rotate towards myself. So it's clearing space for me to bring that card forward towards myself, and I'm keeping it pressed against that area, this left thumb, and my fingers are still keeping it aligned here. So now I can show the card like this. Once I'm in this position, I can turn the card face down, take the next card, place it in the middle, and it's back on top. Now if you notice, the second time I did it, I tried to keep that same motion, right? So you could do the same double lift, the snap and everything with one card as you do it over and over again. You don't have to change up the double lift. So if I did it one way, it should look the same way the next time. There's the card, turn it face down, place in the middle, again, but now I do one card, do that same break, turn the card over, and it's back at the top. You keep that same rhythm, right? You don't want it to look too different. You don't want to say, well, why does he turn a card over this way and the next time he turns it over this way? Don't change up your pattern, keep the pattern the same. That's one really big important tip with double lift. So if you turn a card over this way, the next time you turn the card over, you turn the card over again this way. Now let's say, for instance, you don't want to do the spin move. Now again, I said that I like the spin move mainly because it helps me when it's covering all the angles from this side, which is one of the downfalls of the snap double lift, because you see that pop up. It still looks super clean if you do it this way. So if you want to keep it that way, you could. So let's talk about one extra touch that I learned from David Williamson, which is a dive Vernon idea. And basically, you can do it just from a break, right? If you already have a break, you can do it, or you can do it with the Larry Jennings snap double lift, in which you get the break and then do the move. And it looks like this. I rotate my thumb, same idea, get the snap, and now I'm here in this position. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a break now with my third finger, not my pinky. My third finger is what's getting the break. Once my third finger has the break, I'm gonna reach over with my left thumb, and I'm basically aligning it with that third finger. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I can move my thumb and my third finger together as a unit. So it looks like there's motion with the top card. So for instance, if I was here, I can do this, and it looks like I turned over one card, but I'm not. It creates the illusion of pushing off one card and turning it over, right? Because this, look at the push off. I push off, I turn it over. I push off, I turn it over. This is creating that same illusion, and it looks like this. The third finger is holding the brake, and I'm getting it in a little bit. I like to squeeze it in a little bit because I think that helps get a little bit more distance when I move it off. Because if you see, this is a very slight movement, but for whatever reason, when I really get my third finger under that card, I feel like I really get a good motion with it. Again, I'm gonna get my brake, and now I have a third finger brake here. And again, if you prefer a pinky count, you can do a pinky count of 2 cards, get your third finger underneath there, and still do the same push off. Right, and still get your double lift. Do my snap double lift, get to this position. I get my third finger underneath there. My thumb kind of aligns with that finger, and both, basically what happens is that my left thumb is pushing, looks like it's pushing to the side. I am putting pressure because I am squeezing this card between those 2 fingers. It is hard to do slow, but I'm squeezing it between those 2 fingers. So basically my third finger is acting as a pivot with my thumb, moving that card. So I get a break, snap, and now look at that, you just push off, and it looks like you push off that card. I'm gonna show you again from this side. From the top, so you can get a clear view of what that looks like. And there you have it. And this is a really nice touch that you can add to any double lift that you do, because once you have a break under 2 cards, just get your third finger under there. I like to really get the tip of the finger underneath the card, closest to the nail. My left thumb is usually closer to the middle, not so far on this side because I won't be able to get some motion. I go towards the middle because then I can move those 2 fingers together. So don't go too close to this side because then you'll get a smaller motion. But if you bring your thumb closer to the center of the deck, it'll get a wider motion. So look at how wide it comes with the deck here versus if I bring my thumb here, I'm only getting a small push off. Thumb here, I can get a bigger push off. And it's the pressure from the thumb that aligns the cards and the fact that my third finger has a grip on it that I can really push those cards off. This is a fantastic subtlety you can add to any double lift, and it simply looks like you're pushing the card off the top of the deck. All right, and here's the last part. This is the David Blaine double lift, and what you're doing is a double push off. And the reason why I'm teaching you this as well is because it includes that motion that I used before, and that's already the double lift. And this is the David Blaine double lift we're going to be looking at now. So what's important about this double lift? Just like I said in the previous variation, you're going to want to make sure that you do the same motion over and over again. Let's talk about specifically what's happening here. My left thumb is coming across the side, and you're doing what's called a double push off. If you're looking for an extensive overview of the double push off, check out the DVD set from Andy Gladwin over at Vanishing Ink, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's all about the double push off. But essentially, the pad of my thumb, this side here, this little fleshy part here, right beneath the nail, is going to act as what pushes the 2 cards over. And this is going to take a lot of practice. But I'm still using the base of my thumb as I previously mentioned. That's going to be acting as a fulcrum. My left thumb is going to press down on top of the corner of the deck, as you can see here. And it's going to push over a few cards. Now my fingers underneath here, surprisingly, also act as part of this, as it contains the cards, right? Because if I didn't have my fingers there, I'd be pushing over too many cards. So I really want it to be just aligned just at the top of the deck, so I have some clearance of those cards. Those are along the side here. My left fleshy part of my thumb is here, and it's going to press down on the deck. It's a very light touch. It is not a hard touch. It is a gentle touch. And once you just push over a few cards, right? That is the idea. Now, I like to think of it as almost pushing over one card And once I see one card is like clear, then I can press down a little tighter with my thumb and it'll push over the second card. And the reason is like friction will take over, because as that card clears, I can press down and clear the next card. Obviously you don't want it that far because then you'll start seeing that space, but as you practice, you'll start getting the touch for exactly what's taking place. Because you're really just using this portion of your thumb right here, and that is what pushes over the cards. Now, as the push off takes place with that part of the thumb, you can see this is like pretty closely aligned here. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. As that card continues to push over, my index finger or my second finger is going to press up underneath. What that's going to do is that's going to prevent any extra cards from playing a role and getting pushed off. It essentially holds back any additional cards. So realistically, it's almost like pushing over 3 cards, but then my index finger kind of goes underneath and says, hold up, take that third card back. So I push it over. Now, what's also great about the David Blaine Double Lift, although at least the one that he uses, I should say, is that it's already positioned for you. So what does that mean? It's already in a position of this corner here. I can push over, and as I'm doing it, even if I don't have a perfect alignment of 2 cards on top, my second finger comes over and it's gonna align those 2 cards. That's all it does, right? Look at this. I come over and I align those 2 cards. Now, and my thumb is gonna hit this side of the packet here as it aligns those 2 cards. So I hit here, this second finger hits here, and it's gonna align those 2 cards as it rotates off my thumb, just like before. Flick it, and now I have the card turned over. I can take this card, show it, turn it face down, place it in the middle, and then it comes back to the top. What's great about this double lift is even if you make a mistake and you push over too much, I can still see 2 cards. I can just eyeball it, come over, and I'm gonna align those 2 cards as I press it against my thumb with my second finger. My thumb is gonna help on this side as I turn the card end for end and let it snap over. Turn the card face down, and now you have yourself a double lift. Really the hardest part about the David Blaine one is just getting that knack of getting just what looks like 1 card, just keeping that card so closely aligned versus, say, having this happen, right? You don't want this happening every time. Sure, you'll be able to get away with it, but you really want to get it as close as possible to pushing over a single card. You could do the same end for end turnover if you wanted to do it that way as you push off. My second finger from this right hand is going to kick against the side of the pack. My index finger is going to press down on top, act as a fulcrum, and that's going to keep the card aligned. So that's another way in which you can do it. You can't use the Vernon in this case, the Vernon subtlety of that push off, because really just pushing over those 2 cards and then turning it over just like this. So that's the idea. Push over those 2 cards, and there you have it. That is the David Blaine Double Lift, the one he uses the most, also known as the Knockout Double Lift from Martin Nash, and also some credit to Steve Draun for the push-off idea. There's a couple double lifts for you, some double lift talk. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. We're almost at 750, moving our way to 1,000, and I'll see you guys next time.